This woman writes sexual innuendos with a guy I matched online dating. I haven't read the post, but I'm willing to bet that this did not end well because almost always when guys rush into like sex jokes before building that connection in person and having fun with them in person, or then kissing and then actually having sex, it's like if they start to basically do these sex jokes, more often than not, they just get themselves in trouble, especially when they do it over the phone because it's like there's not that context of the situation. There's not that tone of voice. There's not that body language. And so there's just less communication. So jokes, or just when you send a text, anticipate it being interpreted in the worst possible way, just kind of as a safety thing, because oftentimes it is interpreted in the worst possible way, or at least it can be, because it's like words are just a small, I think like 7% of our communication. And there's so much in just tone of voice, body language, and the context of the situation. Just be careful on trying to be funny over text and trying to do sex jokes over text, and sex jokes too early. Like sex jokes are super important if you are already in like an established relationship, you're really comfortable with the other person, and the outcome of the sex joke is to make her feel sexy or build up anticipation to a later in the evening when you two of you have sex. Then that's important. It's like she has to feel like she's desired. And if you're using that as a tool, then that's great. But if you're using it just to kind of like thinking, oh, if I have the perfect sex joke, then that's going to make her laugh about sex, and therefore that I'm going to have sex with her. It's like you have to really put a massive amount of time into learning that skill. And if you don't, then you're just going to get yourself in trouble. And also, you're going to have that reputation to kind of back you up that you're a guy that's like really funny in regards to sex, or maybe you're like famous or whatever in known for that. Because otherwise, it's just going to get you in trouble. So, I mean, for the vast majority of people, don't try the sex jokes. They're not going to work. They're going to get you in trouble, man. Let's get into it. So matched with this guy in online dating, had a great combo over the app. He just asked me for my number and I gave it to him. Great start. It's like you figure out if she's cool, maybe with a couple messages, or maybe you just send her your number right there, or you ask her for her number right there, but you're being direct, decisive, getting the point, moving on to a different medium, getting on the phone. When you get her on the phone, it's like talk to her over the phone so you can kind of read her attraction level of you, see if she's cool, ask her a few questions. You might ask her on dates, just light questions that are fun to answer. Don't make it too serious. Don't be an open book. Don't tell her your whole life story. It's like once you know that she seems pretty cool, then ask her out. Hey, when are you free? What days are you available to get together? I'd love to get dinner with you. When are you free? You know, something along those lines that assume that she wants to see you. It's just a matter of scheduling. And you schedule it. You give a location, a time. You're direct, decisive. You lock it in. And then you just see her there. So that's a good move on his part right there. He's being direct. He's getting to the point, asking for her number. Where we continue texting for a few hours. There, he probably made a mistake. It's like, that's just a little too much. It's like if you want to have your outcome with texting, not to like, oh, get to know each other. Well, kind of, but it's more about seeing if she is cool, which can be achieved pretty quickly. And then, seeing her attraction in you. And, if she's really engaged, then you basically transition out of that right into setting a date, and you're direct, decisive, get to the point, know what you want. You're going towards what you want. This was during lockdown in my area. Over text the first time, he made a sly comment about going for brunch and then hooking up afterwards. It's like, dude, you just don't do that. It's just totally out of context. If you're going to set up like a hookup situation, one, you probably want to do it in the evening, not in like this brunch date. Two, it's like there's a progression to it and he's skipping the progression. So it's like you have to build that rapport, that comfortability, that connection, and have a fun time with the other person. Once that is done, you make a move when the opportunity is there, when she's giving you the signals that she is interested in you, or you go for like a goodnight kiss, but you then progress to like a kiss. And then the best time to ask her back to someplace private where the two of you can hook up is right after or during the moment when the two of you are kissing and that emotional like heightenedness is there. So don't think, oh, if I hint at sex, then it's like I have a better opportunity. Oftentimes it just drops your opportunity, sometimes to zero. I contemplated on whether to reply or not. So yeah, it's like once he even says that, it's like she's like, okay, now this guy might be really weird. I've never met this guy before. It's like on an online dating context. So now she wants to back off completely. So it's like, yeah. He seems to have noticed the delay in reply and apologized and said he was joking. And now what's he doing? He's apologizing for being attracted to her. Bad way to go. It's like when you're in this apologetic thing, you're not being strong, you're not being confident, you're being uncertain. And that's going to turn her off even more. So it's like sex joke, turned her off. It was way too soon. And it was over text and it was out of context. And now he's apologizing. It's like strike number 2. You know, what's next here? I told him I wasn't interested in hooking up. And he said, fair enough. And we moved on to another topic to discuss. It's like, yeah. Anyway, just set a date, man. Just set a date. And just see the other person in person. And then it's like you'll progress through, it's almost like a friends with benefits thing. So it's like you'll date, and then maybe, you know, sometimes on the first date, but usually on the second or third date, that's when you'll hook up. If you're doing everything right. If you're not doing everything right, it'll take you a lot longer or just never happen at all. But then at that point, after you've hooked up, then it's kind of like a friends with benefits thing. You're not really exclusive, but you're hooking up and you're just seeing each other maybe once or twice a week. And then you progress, you know, maybe at like 7 week or 2 month range. Then you be exclusive together. So just understand that there is a progression to this, and just don't try to take it too fast and just go straight for the outcome of thinking that you're going to do sex jokes to hook up with her, dude. Next day, he asked about my night and asked if it was a Netflix and chill kind of night. I think I skipped a paragraph, but it's like this guy's still like hinting at sex, thinking that that's going to work. Same pattern that he's doing, just not getting results and basically not looking at the reality of the situation on her responses. And he just trying something that doesn't work and repeating that over and over again because he doesn't know that there is a progression, you know, seemingly. I responded by saying no, and he replies by saying he'll teach me how to Netflix and chill, and how easy is it? I was like, dude, just drop it. It's like, this isn't going to work for you. We texted tonight, and again, another sly sexual comment. Had a phone call tonight, too, after the comment, and seems perfectly normal and respectful. Our combo lasted for an hour. So he's still just not getting to the point. He's like texting, like sex comment, but he's not actually getting to the point. So he's still in this vibe where it's like he's not really in his certainty. We text for hours and have great combos, but I'm getting tired from deflecting these comments. He's a 31-year-old man, too old for this shit. You'll even see this with like very old men, like in their 70s, because it's like they just never learned this. No one ever taught them really how to overcome or how to not act in like these insecure ways. And if you never learn it, you never have anybody to learn it from, then it's like you'll continue these patterns and it'll continue to fail over and over again. And it's sad to see when, you know, old guys are alone and single and they're like, and I don't really know how to change that, and they want to. I'd rather a man be upfront with his intentions than say comments. Okay, cool insight, because she's saying, well, I'd rather have a guy be direct and upfront on, you know, what he's wanting, instead of just being like, oh, let's hint at this, let's hint at sex, let's hint at a date, and maybe that'll happen. It's like, what's your outcome? It's like, well, you have no outcome. because you don't actually think it'll work, so you don't actually commit to it. So you're just trying to be like low risk and trying to be cool or whatever you're trying to do. It's just not gonna work, man. It's like his foot's half in and half out. Awesome insight right there. It's like, yeah, you want to go for what you want, um, but it's like to do that, you have to also know what works. And so it's like go for what you want, meaning ask her out. It's like she's actually put up with a lot of crap, which indicates that she has a high interest in this guy, or at least did at the very beginning. It seems to be dropping now, but it's like, well, he had it. And so it's like once he recognizes that, at least what he should do is that once he recognizes that she's attracted to him, boom, ask her out on a date. Does he want a serious relationship or just a hookup? How do I deal with this? I'm not investing in him or anything, invested in him or anything, so I don't mind ending it right here. I'm just curious to see how we click in person, considering most of our combos have been pretty good. Yeah, well, unfortunately, he hasn't made that happen. So if you're a guy listening, what do you do? Okay, so let's go through the progression. Read her attraction level, maybe you match, maybe you meet her in person, read her attraction level. If it's there, ask her for her number or ask her out right then. When you ask her out, you want to assume that she will say yes. So when are you free? What's your schedule availability? I'd love to take you out to dinner sometime. When are you free? Assume that she wants to say yes. It's just a matter of scheduling. Say you did the phone number route, so you got her phone number. And then what you want to do is you kind of want to wait about 3 days and then you gauge her attraction level, you gauge her response. Is she excited to hear from you, or has she already forgot you and moved on? Or is she like, oh yeah, I remember you, or just have this like poor attitude? And when that's the case, it's like when she has a poor attitude, you just don't go on dates with women like that because they have a low interest in you. And you only want to go on dates with women who have a high level of interest in you because it's so much easier. It makes it so much more fun. You basically have a bigger margin of safety in case you make any kind of mistake. And also what you'll find is women who have a low interest in you will make her tests much harder to pass and just kind of set you up for failure. So once you determine that, this other person's cool, that they have a high level of interest in you and you have a high level of interest in her, then it's like, man, you set a date, you set it, and then you have like a location, a time, lock it in, and that's it. And you don't do anything else. It's like if she reaches out to you between that time, then you maybe have like send like 3 texts on your end and say, hey, I can't wait to see you Saturday night when we see each other and talk about this further. Just like that. And so you end it right there. And so you allow that anticipation to build up. You don't take way too much action. You don't act like this guy who's just basically doing sex jokes, being like hinting at things instead of being, going for it. You don't talk many hours because it eliminates the anticipation. Yeah, and also it sets the vibe on like if you ever don't text her back later, she's going to think something's wrong. It's just there's so much to giving her that space once you get your outcome. It's like trying to oversell somebody once you get somebody. It's like, oh yeah, okay, let's buy it. Just bring over the contract and I'll sign it. Just kind of related to sale. So it's like instead of it's like, oh yeah, and actually it's like, well, this one and this and this, and you start talking about other stuff and selling them on other stuff, and it's like you had the close and then you just basically talked them out of it. Yeah, and just focus on having fun on date, keeping it light, and then understand that there's a progression. So you build that fun experience. Understand that if you do want sex, it's like you have to create a whole experience that leads up to a moment, usually in the evening, of sex. And that's really how to make her more turned on compared to just going for the outcome. Because with women, it's more of the experience that leads up to that moment that really is special to them. So understand that, and then the progression is building that rapport, building that connection, and then going for a move like a kiss, and then finally going someplace private if that's what you want to do. And don't apologize. Don't apologize for going for a kiss, and don't apologize for being attracted to her.